So what are the benefits of publishing it yourself? Obviously the cost implication is a lot cheaper and you don't have to share your proceeds, perhaps only with Amazon, I guess. To the other option where you actually find a proper publisher, a publishing house that publish it for you and so on and so on. What would you say is the biggest differentiator between those two?
Well, actually, it's more expensive to publish it yourself because you are paying for a designer, you're paying for an editor, you're paying for somebody to do it for you.
Right.
Because the most important thing as far as I'm concerned is that you want a book that doesn't look self-published. You want a book that's great in terms of quality, great in terms of look and feel. So you need to invest in somebody who's going to give you a really good service. For me, that's incredibly important. If you want your book to represent your brand, to stand out, there's not much point in skimping.
Right.
But you do retain more royalties. You do retain control of your intellectual property. So if you want to create a program off the back of the book, you can do that without worrying about any small print or not being able to. And I've heard of people who published a book, then they want to create a course and they can't.
Because the publisher says no?
Because the publisher retains the IP. So intellectual property is key. Time is another thing. Obviously, it's much quicker if you do it yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And so are your books self-published or with a publisher?
I went partnership published my first book, which is when you work in partnership with a publisher. Yeah. And the other ones have been published through, I've got a really great team who I work with who do it for me.
Right, who do it for you. And so everybody that signs up to your course obviously can use the same.
They can do, I recommend the team that I work with, but they can use other people if they wish to do so. It's entirely up to them.
And so the intellectual property in the book remains 100% with them, and so then they can do with it whatever they want, yeah? Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And because most clients are looking to use their book as a business tool, so using it as an expensive business card, maybe for a bit of lumpy mail to stand out, it needs to be, obviously it needs to be good. They say, self-publishing isn't about skimping, it's about making sure you've got a really good quality product.
Absolutely, I can see that.
And it's not vanity, it shouldn't be a vanity project as well. That's really key.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, and so from the writing, that leads to what? Number 6, I guess.
Writing, well, there's kind of the writing part of it is broken up into writing, story and seeding, which is sharing your story in the book, getting support. So all of that is kind of in the writing side of things as well. Oh. So making sure you've got the right team in place to enable you to get it out there.
So you always insist in your course that people put their own story in the book as well. It's not just about the facts, yeah? It's about their own story as well.
Well, it's their story because a lot of people have been driven to where they are today because of their background, because of their journey. So giving people a little bit of a flavour of who you are is important. Yeah. Some people obviously write their memoir, which is kind of the whole book is about their story. Yeah. So we've got to look at how the business part fits into that as well. But it's also other people's stories. How does what you're doing work in practice? Right. So if you're looking to get more clients from the book, share some stories of how you've worked with clients and what they've achieved. So you're kind of you're showing how what you're teaching works in practice. Right. Okay. It's all about delivering evidence, really, isn't it? It is. Yeah. Yeah. Proof is in the pudding. Yeah. And then obviously once you've written it, it's also about selling it. It's one of the things I teach through all of my programs is how you self-fund your writing. So how you get clients before your book is published. Okay. So that's incredibly useful for people who have got a limited budget, who are going, I'm trying to run my business, I want to write my book. But actually there's so many things you can do as you're writing it. You can survey people, you can do interviews. Obviously I did interviews for my first book. Yeah. You could have other experts to write bits of it for you. With Book Marketing Made Simple, I calculated it recently for a blog post, and about 9,000 of these words, give or take, were written by other people. Right. So other experts, so experts in Facebook, experts in LinkedIn, experts in video, where I wrote from my own experience, but I wanted to bring in other people who did it. That was their specialism. So it made sense to bring that in as a joint venture, as a collaboration. I see. And you just named them in the book that you're using their knowledge. And, they wrote it for me. Yeah. And so they get a share of the book as well because they are published in the book. Absolutely. Yeah, so they're in the books. It's a collaboration. So they can put it on their bookshelf. Absolutely, yes. All right, that's good. So there's a collaboration element to it as well. Yeah. All right. So is that then 6 and 7 or what's... Well, pretty much got to the end now and it's all about showing up. You publish your book, you get it out there, you might go for the Amazon bestseller status. How do you get to that point? I mean, you can have the best book in the world, right? Yeah. But if nobody's looking at it, then you're never going to make it to the bestseller list. So do you have tips and tricks on that as well then? I do. I have a whole program on it. A whole program, right. So the whole program, right? I've done it myself. I've done it with clients, so it's documented with templates every step of the way. So there's a whole with any book, with any business, it comes down to collaboration. It comes down to win-win with people, working with partners, whether you're doing podcast interviews, whether people are sharing the book for you, whether they're leaving you an Amazon review. It all comes down to who do you know who can help you. And then it's reciprocating as well. So it's making it win-win for everybody.
So have your books ever hit any of the bestseller lists? Are they faring quite well?
They have. Book Marketing Made Simple. When I wrote the Book Launch Blueprint, which is the Amazon bestseller plan, I did it for Book Marketing Made Simple. So I kind of did it in real time as I was creating the program.
Right.
So that did. I think 3 or 4 of mine have become bestsellers.
Oh, that's good. And what's the criteria to be a bestseller? What do they say?
It needs to be number 1 in a relevant category for a period of time.
Right. Okay. And that gives you the bestseller.
It gives you the bestseller. But, you know, a lot of people will poo-poo that, and I don't think it's the be-all and end-all, but the most important thing is your book, it gets to as many people as possible. The kind of the unexpected benefit of going all out and pushing your book when you're launching it means that more people will get to know it exists. So it doesn't matter if it doesn't become, you know, people do get fixated on that. It needs to be a number 1 bestseller, but the most important thing is it gets out to as many people as possible, and it impacts on other people's lives, because that's what we write, a book to make a difference, to create a legacy, to take our property, our intellectual property, to help other people. So it makes sense to get it out to as many people as possible.
Wow, okay, that's good. Yeah, absolutely. You know, you're sending out the message, you're trying to help people and make a difference to people's lives. So if that's achieved, then it doesn't matter what the status is, right? And I mean, you are really writing that for your target audience. What's your view on platforms like Audible and things like this? So to turn your book into as a spoken word, is that something that's ultimately then has to follow?
It can do. I've got some clients who do audio. I did it myself for my 6th book last year. So I went audio only with that book. So Becoming an Authority, you can find it on most of the audio platforms, because I wanted to experience it. How, you know, I had clients say, how do I do an audio book? And I went, I don't know, so I will do it. It's a bit of an experiment.
So did you narrate it yourself as well?
Yes.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
All right, good.
So I went into a local studio and they did all the production for me, and I just had to sit there for 2 days and narrate it, which was blooming hard work, I tell you.
But you got it done.
I got it done.
That's good. So what challenges are you facing at the moment then with you know, with the pandemic, COVID-19 and all this? How is that affecting you as a business?
It meant that I made a crucial decision in March. So when everything happened in March, I made the crucial decision to bring forward one of my plans for this year, which was to put my signature system, so the Smart Author system, it went online. So I've been working with a marketing person, and we've been working together for the last 6 months we launched it in about 7 or 8 weeks, and we've got the first group of people going through it and getting some amazing successes. The first person being published who's done the programme, who did it very quickly, and the second one, she's going through, she's about to get her proof copy, so she's quite far down the track as well.
And that started in March, you said?
Started in March, yeah.
Okay.
So that was fairly quick. Both of them were quite quick. And there's other people at various stages through the process.
Wow.
So I think my only challenge is I just worked my backside off to get it done.
To get it done, but not
so there is a lot of people who were furloughed and a lot of people having time off. I just put my head down and got on with it.
Yeah, absolutely. So what would you say has been your biggest highlight so far in your career? If you look back over what you've done and what you've achieved, what has been one thing that really stands out? One
thing that stands out is I did TEDx talk in October 2017.
Cool.
That was the scariest and the biggest thing that it was on my list. It was on my bucket list.
It was on your bucket list.
Yeah,
was that in the UK? Did you do that in the UK?
In the UK, yeah.
Right, okay. Yeah. And you spoke about this, I take it? I
spoke about the Maths of Rules, actually, which is my own story, which is my personal story.
And what is that about?
I do have a copy here. So this is the book that this was the hardest book to write. Yeah. This is my own personal story, and yes, that is me on the cover. This took about 2.5 years alongside writing. I was writing other books at the time, and I talked about my own journey. So my own journey was being a really shy child, wanting to better myself, but feeling quite scared about taking that first step. And my entrepreneurial journey from that moment, as I said, back in January 2006, when I went, you know what, I'm going to show people what I can do. Right. It also touches on the Year to Live project I did in 2012, which is a project where I spent the whole year doing things that took me out of my comfort zone and scared me.
All right.
And
for example?
I did a parachute jump, skydive, tandem.
Right.
I am petrified of heights.
Okay, so that must have been taking quite a lot out of you. One thing you just mentioned was in 2006, you had this moment where you went, you know what, I'm going to show you all.
Yeah.
What happened? What was the trigger for that?
Being a quiet person, quite a reflective person, my boss said to me one day, Karen, I wish you'd speak out more. It wasn't an accusation, it wasn't anything, but it's something that just made me
The
think.
switch just went.
And I went, I need to do something different. I had kind of been plodding along in a job that it was okay, I was enjoying it, but it wasn't stretching me. I knew I had so much more potential.
Wow, okay.
So that's when I kind of really stepped up to the plate. And I'd heard, many years I'd heard about this thing called coaching, and I'd done a lot of personal development, and it was the switch that made me change my life, really.
So you left the job and went into coaching, yeah?
Yeah.
Or health whaling,
Yeah.
and you never looked back, I take it.
Yeah, I did get another job, but I had a brilliant boss who's become a friend who supported me on my journey. So like a lot of people, you know, when you are transitioning from employment to self-employment, there's that, when do you go, when do you make the leap? So she supported me when I said, hey, can I work part-time now? And it was August 10 years ago that I made that leap completely, and
right.
Pretty much haven't looked back.
Good. So what's the next big thing for you?
Gosh, is there a next big thing? I don't have any next big things. I have a few books that are percolating, but I'm not ready to write them yet.
Okay, so it's writing more books?
Writing more books and just supporting more business owners to get their book out there.
And what about any more scary stuff in the pipeline? Do you want to challenge yourself with something?
No, I might abseil off the Spinnaker Tower one day. That's kind of in the back of my mind. And,
okay.
And I've got other things on my bucket list as well, so other things I want to achieve. And when I started out in business, I wanted a business I could run anywhere in the world, which I have. I proved it. I worked in France in July for a few weeks, which was absolutely amazing. You know, to be able to finish at 4 o'clock, turn off the laptop, go for a swim.
That's
you
nice.
know, that's kind of really has been my dream. Not that I necessarily want to move abroad, but just have the ability just to pick up the laptop, go travel wherever, and be able to run a business that suits me, but also makes a difference to other people.
Wow.
And I work with clients all over the world, so you know, as long as have a laptop, we'll travel.
Exactly. That's well said. So, is there any tip that you can give to somebody who is kind of thinking about it, not quite sure? You know, they're on the edge. You know, they're standing on thinking, should I? What would you recommend they do or think?
I think if they are going to do it, they need to make the decision it's the right thing for them. Because I don't want people to think about it to start half-heartedly. So when you decide to do it, it's about making that decision and thinking about, okay, so what's it going to give you that you don't have already? And also, what do you want to get known for? That's a question I love asking people. You're writing a book, what do you want to get known for through this book?
Yeah.
So you're making sure that if you're putting your time, your energy, your effort into writing the book, that you'll be making sacrifices, you'll be maybe not going out with friends, you might be getting up earlier in the morning. You need to know it's the right book that's going to support you and your business and what your vision is going forward.
Absolutely. And so, is there any events where they can see you on webinars or something like this? Do you have a website you want to share with the audience so they can actually get in touch if they have made up their mind? Absolutely.
So there's loads of free stuff on my website, which is www.libertas.com. You've got the Smart Author System Masterclass, which people can watch. There is a Get Started workbook as well, which gives people the 21 questions that they need to ask themselves before they get started. So if people do nothing else, it's a really easy download on the website, totally free.
Right.
Which is, I was speaking to somebody yesterday who told me how, she said sparks were flying from her pen as she was answering them. So that's what I want to create with it.
Well, Karen, thank you very much for your time. It's been amazing speaking to you.
Thank you.
So I learned so much about writing books and stuff. This is really, really good. And for you out there, they say, and everybody sits or sleeps or exists a good book. So why not look into this and see if that's something that you want to do as well. So until then, I speak to you again. Bye-bye.